I'm going to do a little video here on it, what I think is an interesting situation. This yard was doing pretty good last summer. It got absolutely annihilated by European hornets in September and into October. Actually, they were really hammering them until we got a good hard frost. And they turned into some pretty small colonies. So as can be seen, some of these have our insulation board on top. Those would be the smallest ones. And the ones that are a little bigger have just simply a rim on them. And what we're going to do is put a chunk of pollen patty on them and a fondant patty and try to get them fired up a little bit, rearing brood. The next few days are going to be quite warm here. It's going to get 70 degrees Fahrenheit one day. And I predict that they'll find a little bit of pollen in this area. I think there's some neighbors around this yard that have camellias in them, and in the winter camellias will put off pollen if the weather turns nice. So we're going to look in every one, and we might even do a little teeny bit of equalization. I don't know that there's any brood to equalize with, though. We've done 2 oxalic acid treatments to these colonies because they were broodless the last time we checked 5 weeks ago, so I don't know if there'll be any brood at all to equalize with, but we're just going to look at them, work them. What we're doing here is we're using Hive Live pollen patties. We're actually stocking this in our store, and this is really good stuff. It's got 15% real pollen in it, and it's good stuff. It's probably about as good as you could expect. Okay. You can also get global patties that have the 15% real pollen, and we're just going to try to get them to rear in a little bit of brood. It's almost Christmas. This is Monday. Christmas is next Thursday, just 4 days away, so it's a kind of a weird time to try to get bees to rear brood for us. And then the other thing is, once the brood rearing starts, I know the weather will turn colder. I mean, it's just a given. It's just December, so we're going to have some cold weather. And once this brood rearing starts, they're kind of nursing off of this pollen patty and fondant. We can't stop it. I don't want to let them run out, so we will be visiting these colonies from time to time to make sure the pollen patties stay in there and the fondant stays in there. And if we can just get a round of brood going in these things, then we can definitely equalize a little bit. Even a patch of brood the size of a baseball can help a real small colony make it through. A patch of sealed brood, I should say. Sealed, and especially if it's hatching. Of course, hatching would be, 3 to 4 weeks away from this point. Anyway, this is about trying to get these very small colonies through the winter. I think we can get most of them through, if not all of them. And let's see, the fondant we're using is we're going to use Hive Alive fondant in this case. I think the bees really do take to that quite nicely, and especially for very small colonies. It works well. We have put some of this date ant AP23 winter patty stuff on the truck, and we put that on the truck because we'll be checking some other yards that are double deeps, and if there's anything light in one of those yards, we will put a rim on top and give them some of that AP23 fondant patty. That's so again, we're doing the Hive Alive for the really small colonies, and then the bigger colonies that just need feeding, we'll put some of that AP23 winter patty on there. Okay, John, you got a smoker going already, don't you?
Sure, I got yours.
You got my smoker going. Oh, yeah, good man. I like that.
It's new though. It's a new.
Brand new smokers. Yeah, I like new smokers.
Yeah, it's working good.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so you put a rim on this one. So this would have been one of the colonies that wasn't super small. Yeah. And even that's small, but that will... Oh, they've eaten some of their fondant. Oh yeah, that's not bad at all. That's actually 4 or 5 frames of bees, so that one's going to be a good one. Let's look at one of these ones where you have the insulation board on and see how they're looking. They're the ones I'm really worried about. And yes, we're putting on probiotics in the middle of winter. That one was this one was in good shape. This one, It's good enough. That's going to make it through winter if we do this. So it's really simple. Just smoke them down a little bit. Let's give this one about a quarter pollen patty and then drape the fondant patty over the top of it.
What about the AP23?
AP23 would go on colonies that are pretty big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you could put an AP23 patty in this one that Selena already looked at. Well, that ain't all that small, is it? Yeah, that one could take a. Let's just put an AP23 patty in this one and that one, John.
Okay, and keep in this one too.
Yeah, and that one too.
And keep the Hive Alive also on there.
Yeah, keep this
Okay.
patty in here so they can finish it, and then just put an AP23 right here.
Okay. All right.
Um,
And then you want a quarter of this.
yeah, you're gonna have to smoke them down or brush them aside, one or the other.
Gotcha. Okay. Double smoke.
Maybe about a third. Let's go for a third because they're not as small as I thought they would be.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And then everybody gets a little probiotic.
All right. So.
Just a third.
Oh, just like this.
Here, I would do that. Where's the cut at?
Right here.
Yeah, let's just do that right there.
Okay.
I think that'll work.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Did you taste this stuff, John?
No, not the. No,
Selena always,
I mean-
she gets kind of laughs at us when we taste this stuff.
Yeah, not that I won't. So is this a non-treated? Right
Oh
here?
man, that is sugar on top of sugar.
It's
not bad.
Never mind. You got to shoot. Is it good?
I'm not sure I'd have it for lunch, but
Right. Not unless you're on the shows we were talking.
now this is a pretty good one. Let's just give them a 2/3 of a pollen patty and just put it under here.
Okay.
I know it's looking kind of messy now, but
I'll cut this thing.
Hey, they have a nice. Look at that.
yeah, that'll work.
That's awesome.
Same thing here, John. Let's put about 2/3 of a patty under this
Okay.
pollen patty.
I
I'm
got
sorry,
you.
under
Yeah.
this patty.
All right. Yeah, though.
Kind of brush them out. Yeah,
How's that? Probably.
that's good.
Okay.
I like it. That'll work.
And then
This was the worst pallet with the
Oh yeah,
hornets.
we
They
lost
took out
three colonies on this pallet. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they were really picking on this one for some reason.
So if you really want to see how big they are, stand it up. Two, 3 frames. Okay, I think they'll make it.
And they are pretty heavy, so I think
They are
that's why-
heavy. Okay. Well, you know the patty is the Hive Alive fondant patty is more than just trying to feed them. It's also trying to stimulate them a little. We want some brood rearing to occur.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it seems like they're going to be set up for.
Yeah, they'll be good for a couple. We won't have to come back for probably 2 or 3 weeks after this.
Okay.
3 weeks should be good. And even in 3 weeks, a lot of this stuff is still going to be here. But we just
Yeah, we
want
might have to move it around.
move it around a little and
Yeah.
adjust it. Yeah. Perfect. I like that. I remember you and I working on this pallet, and there was like 30 hornets at every
Yeah,
colony just
yeah.
attacking.
When I was taking this one apart after they had already picked them apart, there were hornets inside of it. Like 5 hornets
Yeah.
inside of it.
I've always seen a few European hornets, but I've never seen it like last year.
Oh, well, look at
John, do you know somebody that wasn't a beekeeper? If they watch you do that, they'd have a heart attack.
Right. Yeah, it does seem crazy, it does,
Yeah.
but
So in this case, the burr comb is actually a good thing. It keeps the patty up off the top bars.
right, yeah.
Well, I've been through them all, and there's 3 or 4 that are pretty small. Questionable whether they'll make it. If they can just hold on for another 3 to 4 weeks, we can boost them with a little brood. So we'll see. If we only lose 3 or 4, I'll be happy.
Right.
Okay. Um, we need to talk about these pollen patties a little bit, the pollen patties and the fondant patties. Somebody would be confused as to why we're using hive live patties in some circumstances and the AP23 patties in others. First of all, we've been calling these AP23 patties, and they're actually date ant's winter fondant patty, but it happens to have a certain percentage of AP23 pollen supplement in it. I think the total crude protein that shows up in the ingredients is about 2.5. The idea being that colonies do consume a little bit of protein in winter even when they're not rearing brood. Some people don't realize that, but I think it's the bees consuming a little protein and bee bread to keep their fat bodies up and stay, well nourished and everything. And the idea is that in the AP23 patties, you're getting a little bit of protein for that purpose. Now, I'm not a huge fan of pollen supplement. There's nothing like the real thing. Nothing replaces Mother Nature. But perhaps a little bit of help in the protein department just for a month or two is a good thing. A lot of people think so. And we're using the Hive Alive patties on the very small colonies in hopes of stimulating them into rearing a little bit of brood. And of course, we're giving the pollen supplement patty with pollen added to give them some protein to rear brood off with. It says right on the box, when you look at the Hive Alive pollen patty box, it says, for optimal results, ensure there is a carbohydrate source when feeding pollen patties such as nectar or sugar syrup, or in our case, because I don't like to feed sugar syrup in winter, fondant patty. Of course, thin sugar syrup would be more stimulating, but in cold temperatures, I just think it's a huge mistake to be feeding syrup to colonies. At least in my casual past experience, I don't think it's a good thing. It creates a lot of extra moisture in the colony. The bees don't take it well on a cold day, or not at all, to be real honest. I think we're better off with a good fondant patty. And these Hive Alive fondant patties, I think they're doing that for us, because I've used both of these patties in the past in different areas and found that the Hive Alive patties are consumed a little faster and seem to kind of stimulate the bees a little bit. That's the reason, in a nutshell, why some colonies are getting the Hive Alive and some are getting the AP23. The AP23 winter patties are just good winter food, whereas these are a little bit more than that. I think these are a little bit stimulating also. So, what do you think, John? Was that a take?
That was all right.
That was all right? Okay. This is a beautiful yard. I think next spring I'm going to ask this lady, she's really nice, she loves having the bees here, and she's got a bunch of acreage. I think we're going to probably ask her if we can put a nuke yard way off in there somewhere beyond those trees. And then this yard can be the drone stock for that mating yard. This is an extremely isolated bee yard right here. There's no other bees up here to my knowledge, unless Tim Watson used to have 2 or 3 about a mile and a half that way, but I'm not sure he even has those anymore. I haven't heard about him having bees anymore. If there's any bees in the woods, they probably came out of our colonies. And then we have a number of these no treatment colonies here, colonies that haven't been treated in over a year. And we're going to bring in a few more. We found another half a dozen or 8 or 10 in the last day or two that I think we're going to add into this yard. This will be another one of our isolated, no treatment type of drone source yards. These bees are in pretty good shape here too. So yeah, as we can be seen, we have several double screen boards over some of these colonies. And the 2 brick ones, the ones with 2 bricks on the top, those are colonies that have not received any treatment since last year, last fall. All right. Well, John, let's get to work, see what these bees look like. This yard of 5-frame nukes was brought here late in the season. This established yard of bees took an absolute hammering from European hornets last fall. And we disassembled all the colonies and used all the assets and parts in other places and brought in these 5-frame nukes that were mated near Clayton, near our Walmart yard, which is all Caucasian, and we used Caucasian cells. So these are Caucasian queens mated with Caucasian, and they're not bad, We're going to boost these just like we did that last yard, or boost them, I should say feed them with pollen patties and AP23 patties. Yeah, that was a half a AP23 patty not long ago and they've eaten it. Yeah, those look Caucasian. There's a little bit of Italian mixed in there. They're open mated, so there's always a little. That one's a little smaller, but they are eating their patty.
Yeah, they're eating.
Okay. TFM2, right,
Yeah,
number?
that's what I just.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
So they're getting a piece of Hive Alive pollen patty with 15% pollen, and then a good chunk of AP23 patty. In this case, this one's going to get a whole patty just broken in half, 2 pieces. Yep, okay. 3/4 inch rim on top. And that's it. Now when we talk about condensation, that patty is going to absorb condensation really well. So these colonies will not have a condensation problem.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I think unless we just get some extreme weather in January and February, these will all make it. And believe it or not, these will be our very best colonies next season. An overwintered nuke makes an extremely good colony in the spring. The only problem is they'll be prone to swarming as they grow because they've already got a head start on any other nuke that's made in the spring. So what we'll do is probably around the end of February to early March, we'll transfer them into single-story boxes. Make sure they got lots of food because they're going to not have a lot of food to grow with. And then probably about the 1st of April, maybe the first week in April, we'll put on a second deep box of drawn comb because by then there'll be a single-story colony. That single story with an empty box of deep drawn comb on top will be much less apt to swarm as long as they have access to that drawn comb and the queen can lay. And then after they've laid in there for about 3 weeks, they'll be kind of past the beginning of swarming season. We'll come in, make sure the queen's in the bottom, put an excluder on it, and let the top box turn into a honey super as the brood hatches off. I've got a video on that. It's called The Problem with Single-Story Colonies. Talk about that technique. It really, really works. And I think that's probably what we're going to do with this yard of bees. I expect these to be some of our best colonies next year.